Hey, y'all, welcome to episode 55 of the Dickie and Donny Show presented by Business on Purpose. I'm your co-host, Dickie, here with Donny, and today have a great treat to have the crew from Jackson Builders here and have been building processes and building buy-in. And so talking a bit about how to change culture and how to change just growth patterns without losing your people. And so critical conversation. Thanks for being here, guys.
Of course. Thanks for the invite. We're avid listeners and some of your best coaching clients. So
you are some of my best clients. Absolutely. Now,
long time listener, first time caller. I feel like it was a perfect opportunity to say that. So.
Yeah, I thought about that last night as I was preparing for this. I thought that very quote, Donny. Roberto likes to listen to us while he does running. So I guess he likes double pain of running and listening to poor podcasts.
Yeah.
I'm just impressed you run.
All right. Well, Roberto, Rogers, tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, Donny hasn't met you guys yet. So tell us a little bit about how you got started in the business and what excites you.
Donny, we're both from construction family. My dad has started a masonry subcontractor firm, and we were both born and raised in it. Basically, Roberto worked there in the summers, and I worked there in the summers as well. And Dad taught me how to estimate, and eventually grew up and did project management, material transport, mason tending, just any unskilled labor, demolition, all that kind of stuff. And Roberto graduated from UT, got his master's in accounting, and we kind of circled back up there. And we did a flip. We flipped a house in the Nations, which is a neighborhood here in Nashville, and we liked the process, and we said, let's get serious on it. So he brought his CPA, and I got my GC license and the commercial construction background experience I had, and it's been 10 years now, and we've built it up since then. Focus on it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So when you say UT, you're talking about the University of Tennessee, not the University of Texas.
Yeah, UT. Yeah, UT Knoxville. Yeah, in East
the real
Tennessee.
UT.
Exactly. Yeah, real UT. I mean, volunteers. And
if it weren't for you, all of our Texas clients would be doing work in Mexico right now. So I think we really need to shout out you guys for doing that. So
agreed. Yeah. And that was a good intro from Rogers. Just to piggyback that a little bit. Yeah. So we came together in 2016. So we're coming up on 10 years. We're really excited about that. And we probably build 70 to 80 houses a year, depending on the year, somewhere in the range of 20 to 25 million in revenue. So have around 11 employees, and we've learned a lot. Everything on our own from the start, from spreadsheets and, the most spreadsheets and paper, the simplest way to doing it. And now I think we try to adopt best practices from large construction businesses and other organizations, so made many mistakes along the way, but we're trying to come into being a mature company, do things the right way, and build something that's going to be really long lasting for for years and decades to come.
Man, that's awesome. Even approaching 10 years, I'm sure y'all have heard the stat or Dickie has shared it with you of only 4% of business owners make it to 10 years, which is wild. So that's a huge accomplishment. Now, y'all say that's a large volume of work. What's your typical scope of a house that y'all would build?
We'll do everything. Probably most of the homes that we build are anywhere from 1,800 to 5,000 square feet. We started off doing units that were much closer to the smaller end of the range, and we did a lot of townhomes. We pretty much within probably a 10-mile radius of downtown. So it's infill construction, urban areas, high density, really, really confined spaces. So a lot of times the homes aren't that large, but just as the company's grown and we've gotten more clients, we are working on some more luxury type products at this point as well. And they're actually selling better, just that segment of the market is less impacted by interest rates, I guess. Right. So, but it's just, ground up construction. And then we also do some infrastructure work as well. So on a lot of our projects, it's probably 1 to 2 acres where we are doing the mass grading, running the utilities, putting in stormwater structures, things of that nature. So we'll do it all. Rogers has an unlimited combined license, so we can pull a permit for any project size for any type. But we do tend to stick towards the residential side of things. Although I think the way that we operate is more like a commercial contractor because we're not a custom home builder where most of our projects are for the end user. Most of our clients are developers, people that are hiring a general contractor to build something for sale or rent, right? For profit at the end of the day. So we do have 1 to 2 custom builds going on at any given point in time, but that just is based on finding the right clients, right?
Yeah.
People that we know will mesh well with our culture and we won't have a really tough time working together and fight the whole time.
I
Man,
love that you've got the spec market, but you're not having to put the risks down. So you've got the advantage of not having to, fuss with homeowners, but also get the benefit of the spec market. And
Yeah.
it's so unique that you guys are very similar in your personalities, but also different. But you've got the builder versus the CPA, like what a cool, I mean, most builders know this, but so much of your work is tools or calculators and spreadsheets, not just hammers and nails. So how have y'all found like working together, or how have y'all found like your lanes of what each of you are good at?
Yeah, I guess it just kind of came naturally. Yeah, just Roberto's affinity for numbers and the financial modeling and the budgeting, and just my knowledge from commercial construction. Those lanes were already created right when we started forming, and we've kind of just kept in those lanes. And again, as an organization becomes more complex, those lanes get even more specific, and you even have to divide those lanes up for new people to ensure that you can stay focused on that thing. And we're learning through your classes, just business ownership is different than being a nail and hammer and nail kind of builder, and it's just another talent that we're learning how to.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. We honestly really didn't think about it much at the start. So I think it just kind of naturally happened, but I'm certainly more analytical, a little more cautious, reserved. And he's definitely the opposite of that in many regards. But so I think it's a good balance, really, pushes me to do stuff that I wouldn't have thought about before. And I think on the other side, he also will listen to me when I'm wanting to be a little more cautious. So I think it ends up well, where we're always looking to do more and more, bigger and bigger, and really not scared of taking on any type of construction at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. It's a cool mesh too. Because are y'all? I'm assuming I'm reading through the lines here. Y'all are brothers, correct?
First cousins.
First cousins. So I am incorrect. I was close though. I mean, you both work with the same guy and whatever. Okay, so family and whatnot. Now you said you guys have 11 full-time employees. Did I hear that right? Can you break that down? Like, what do those 11 do? Because with that volume, we haven't interviewed someone with that volume. So I'm interested. What's the breakdown of y'all's employees?
Yeah. And it's funny. You'll see that we're really heavily loaded on the operations side. So we have 3 project managers, they're kind of a project manager / superintendent role at our company. They do both things. Then above that, we have project executives. So think a really, really seasoned project manager that knows contracts in and out, has dealt with really complex issues and can navigate that really well, right? And then we also have a full-time warranty / punch person who helps us wrap up projects at the end, deal with the warranty claims as they come in. From there, we've got a controller helping on the accounting side of things. And then we have a design coordinator, who she also helps with some other things in the office. Maybe you'd also call her like an office manager as well. And then we have a project coordinator. So think like an admin, but for project related things, making sure that purchase orders are signed for the projects when they come out of the ground, and that the closeout processes are followed, getting all the final invoices in, getting lien waivers from the subs and vendors along the way, really helping formalize that closeout process from there. And then of course you have Rogers and I, who are both partners, and then we also have what do they call them? We've got an outsourced accounting firm that helps us as well. That gives us some additional hours there, right? So, but as you can see, most of it is operations focused, but we're really making a push now to formalize our sales, marketing, and admin departments more. I think that's one of the things that BOP has really helped us with, right? So we're hoping so we've really been pushing hard to not only build out those metrics and be more formal about sales and marketing, but also we're looking forward to that being one of the next hires after we kind of prop that up and define how it looks. Because a lot of our growth has been organic, and that's good, but we're not going to hit the goals that we want by waiting around on organic growth and performance.
What are the goals that y'all want? Sorry, Dickie.
I mean, I
Like,
think
just let's look at the metrics based on your 25 to 30 million now and 11 employees. I think most people can relate to growth in those two arenas. So
Yeah.
what are y'all looking to do?
Well, what we've got at a high level, we want 50 million in revenue, at least 10% net margins, and 20 employees. That's like a really high level.
Yeah, we're focusing on getting that 50 million, 10% is the key right now. We're just trying to
drive.
Focus on pushing that margin up right now. You know, the past 8 months, almost a year, we've definitely turned leadership push just to focusing on the net margin. What is the net margin? How to increase net margin, and that includes efficiencies through project management hours, getting more leads, switching to a different type of contract. You know, there's many ways to do it, and we're going to use every tool that we got to get to that point.
Right. Yeah. Along the way, it's funny how, we're maturing in a lot of different ways professionally, whether it's something like adopting an employee handbook or a 401k, but even at this point, moving towards fixed price contracts, we've done a lot of cost plus work, which, there's pros and cons to every type of contract, but we did a lot of that or have done a lot of that. And, your fee's visible, and it's, there's just human nature, psychology of it is that whenever people are comparing fees and they know how much you're making, things can get weird at the end or even along the way, right? But early on, we probably didn't have the confidence, or at least I know I didn't, to execute fixed price contracts. But at this point, we've got the job costing down from the budgeting to the buying out the project and then controlling that along the way, that we've realized that there's a huge trend of our jobs over the last several years of coming in 5 to 8% under our contract amount. And a lot of those were cost plus contracts, and we're realizing, this is why, like industry best practice, industry standards are that way for a reason, whether that's construction contracts being fixed price or having an employee handbook with certain HR policies, so that's where in our business, we really are trying at this point not to reinvent the wheel. And if we find ourselves explaining the way that we do something and it's kind of difficult to wrap your head around or hard to comprehend, it's probably a sign that we're making it more complicated than it needs to be, and we need to check back in on what those standards are.
So I got two questions for you guys. I mean, I know you guys pretty well. You guys are drivers. You've got batteries included. You're ready to go. So y'all came into this and wanted to work with Business on Purpose because you wanted to build processes, you wanted to get tight, you build efficiencies. One of the things I love about you guys was pulling your, 1,000 punch list items over months and categorize them as, did we miss the process or was this legitimate? You found out 80% of your punch lists were just poor processes. And so the quicker you can clean those up and holding people accountable to doing better on the way in, you're not having these closeouts that are taking forever. So the first question is, how have y'all instilled that in your team? Or, I mean, a lot of times we see drivers that are just hitting, pounding, moving, and their teams can't keep up. So how have you managed this change, but kept your culture of just people around you?
That's a really good question. I think a lot of it is explaining why to people. That's what we try to do anytime we're instituting a change, so that it doesn't feel like we're just dropping additional workload on something or more busy work. We show them why. And usually if we can paint that picture for that item specifically, we're showing, hey, at the end, these projects are taking you 60, 90 days to close out. Look at how many subcontractors that you're having to get back. Look how long it's taking you. You need to be paying attention to this more along the way. You need to make sure these items are wrapped up before they pull off, right? The subs will probably like it better because they don't have to remobilize on down the road. But also at that point, we're getting invoiced. We haven't released payment. So if you really have someone who's unwilling to get in there and fix something, well, then you can just hold up the payment. And of course, that gets people moving quickly, right? So I think just showing them that it was going to make the process better, it's going to make their lives easier, make things go quicker. I think that's like the key to getting people to buy in to change, in my view.
How did you mentioned there, like And that makes subs happy because they don't have to remobilize and all that. So I think when I think of culture across the construction world, there's the internal culture, which is your employee base, your 11, right? Your crew. And then you have really external being your subcontractor crews that work for you and your clients that you work for. And,
Yeah.
there's kind of those three facets. As you guys have started making this push, I'm sure you've seen transformation in all three and the way that it's been able to touch kind of all three. Can you speak to that? You mentioned a little bit with the subs of every bit you can do makes their life easier. I think we would all that work with construction companies would acknowledge like all day long. I have subs as clients and there are certain builders they love and certain builders they hate for those reasons. So how have these efforts, how have you seen it play out, the culture internally and then culture with your clients even, because they may not see that all the time. So how have you seen those two things?
Yeah, I mean, we've gone through, we've cycled, it's an ever evolving process with the subs and with the clients. With the subs, it's more of them now molding into what we need with the payment process and adhering to our builder trend schedule and confirmations and our levels of quality that we have. And yeah, we've outgrown some subs and some we're just bringing in that are even large organizations that we learn some from them. But it's always a new thing. There's always this inflow of sub people that need work that come through that get vetted through us, and we throw them on a job, start warm them up a little bit, and if they perform, we this keeps continuing to increase and gets more work for them, and of course we like with our licensed trades, we've actually we've always preferred a little bit more vetting and quality control with them back office because they have to have a warranty, they have to be licensed. So that's all we've grown with them, and that's a good base to have because they've grown with us, and it's kind of a very unique aspect with like clients. We've actually seen, and to Roberto's earlier point about us not just relying on organic leads, that also just kind of loosens the leverage they have on us as we get into these more leads and we have more clients. We're not going to be so beholden to these clients with. In the past, we have always given an inordinate amount of time to the construction management time, and you can just see how the best practices are that fixed price, but you also have a full sales pipeline, and you really stick to your contracts, and you really hold your leverage against owners. Not to be adversarial, but that's just the professional way to do it. Everything's in the contract, and you're just a professional, building professional,
Yeah, your time is valuable. I think to another thing to note is just the clarity and predictability that it gives to the subs and the owners, right? So our subs, we have a pretty robust pre-con process. Most of our projects are residential, so we typically don't have mechanical, electrical, plumbing, structural drawings, and it's essentially design build, although we don't call ourselves that. So we bring them in on the beginning of the process. We talk about where things are going to go, and then having the schedule live, asking for confirmations. We want it to be where they know what they're getting into, they know when they need to show up, and they know how they're going to get paid. So we feel like if we can make that very linear and repeatable, then hopefully it makes them more profitable to where they know with us, if we're sending them something 6 to 8 weeks from now, it might move a little bit, but generally once you get within 4 weeks of that, we've pretty much dialed that in. So I think that, and the same thing goes for the clients as well. The predictability and clarity, they know what they're going to get with us. They know that we're gonna hit our marks in terms of the financial, but also the operation side of the equation. So that's valuable, right? So I think that's really helped us as far as justifying our fees, right? And making sure that we can hit those benchmarks, those KPIs to at least have double-digit margins.
That's so good.
All of a unique. I mean, do you want to talk any about your shared savings? I mean, that's kind of a superpower for you guys, right? To win-win with a client.
Oh yeah. We've been doing that. We have a contract. We have a cost plus one that we have a 50% shared savings clause in it. So whenever we get to the end of the project, obviously we push to get it in as far under budget as we can, and then we'll split it with them, right? So that helps pump up those margins immensely. We've got a job right now that we're wrapping up that I think we netted around 10% based on just the fee, but after we bill for that, we're going to take that up to 15%. which is awesome, right? But you do have to find the right client for it. You know, the client we're dealing with there is a sophisticated commercial construction manager that they actually have one that they hired. So he understands the ins and outs of it, but it can be hard with some clients because they'll see that, oh, you're just making more money at the end. You're just billing me for something extra. So that's why we're leaning towards the fixed price, because whenever people know how much you make or don't make, sometimes things get a little bit weird.
Yeah, they like to renegotiate after the fact. They like to renegotiate after they sign.
Yeah.
Why would they do that? I don't want to go back on. Yeah. I mean, that's a fixed price. If you guys are so good at estimating and getting your numbers tight, I mean, I think cost plus, there's just more, you know, there's not as much risk per se if things come up.
Right.
It's harder probably on remodels and other things, but from a
Oh, sure. But you just have to understand with the fixed price contract that it's not like you're signing something that the number is an immovable object that says no matter what happens, this can't change. You know, so it's like no matter what the contract type is, you're still entitled to change orders. You just need to make sure that what's on the construction drawings is what you've priced, and you've got all that in there. And then
so you got a tight scope of work.
Yeah, and we've even built in clauses to our standard construction agreements for cost plus with a GMP and fixed price that have notes about the lack of documentation that we get, right? So we say there's not MEP and structural here. You got to keep in mind that within the first 60 days, once I'm getting going on all this, if we determine that the closet your architect's got drawn here for mechanical won't work, or this opening right here is going to require some steel, that we can change order for those things, right? So I think you just have to figure out a way that you can. Yeah, just limit your risk there, and I think it's reasonable for that, right? So, but there are some clients that maybe they don't want that verbiage in there, and that's fine. They just have to go spend the money on better construction documents. But on a lot of stuff right now, our minimum that we're trying to establish is $1 million contracts, right? So, but even at that point, you got a lot of owners that don't want to pay for that level of documentation because it's simply not required in Nashville for residential projects. So all they have to have is an architect and a civil engineer. Some projects they don't even need that, right? So it's hard for them to justify spending an extra $50,000 to get all these engineers involved when they've got general contractors willing to price it as is. So that's how
I used to be able to walk up to the code department in Charlotte on the hand drawn on a napkin and hand them a paper, be like, that's the plan I'm building. And they'd be like, okay, how much is it going to cost? Okay, your permit's $200. And you walk out with a permit that day. It was wild. I mean, that was 20 years ago, but it was, who are you? Yeah, that's fine. Well, one of the things y'all have done really well, I mean, Rogers is probably understated in his coding in his basement, but I was in Austin last week and everybody was talking about AI. I was so tired of it. But, you know, obviously we've had a lot of conversations about automation and efficiency. So what are y'all seeing in that space, or how are y'all trying to leverage technology to get better?
I've been a big proponent of it ever since last spring when, you know, Claude Code came out, or last summer. And I used Replit, I used Codex, ChatGPT, and the first one was, and it got us in trouble with I don't know.
With somebody that won't be named.
Yeah, they won't be named. I went ahead, you know, it's just it just shows you the power of this tool. Yeah, it took me a long time because I'm not a coder. I had no computer science background, but it took me around 4 to 6 months to build this code base that essentially pulled all of our unique data that we have on our project management software to help us with more high level compliance reporting and digest, because we just have a lot going on relative to other builders. You know, we have like 30 active projects at any given time. So it just helps leadership to know from a high level view. And yeah, the AI made that. After that, we have a weekly report now that shows the key health and performance of our projects and our employees. And now we've turned our gaze to lead generation, building out our sales department. We built a program that scrapes all the public-facing APIs of Nashville's government websites. And so I pull any active grading permit, all planning agenda notes, and distill it down to approachable leads that we send out automated messaging on now. So it's definitely opening up, broadening our horizons, getting us away from the traditional clients, which have always been good. They've grown with us, but we're just going into an evolution of, of being a professional general contractor, just broadening our horizons.
Well said.
That's
Yeah, I
One of
think
the-
it's basically like if you can imagine it and visualize it, you can do it at this point. And we've always had subscriptions to multiple softwares, multiple SaaS platforms, but there's always a couple things that you wish that they did that they don't. And it's like, yeah, whether it's Buildertrend not doing something with QuickBooks Online that you want, or Sage, or or having a CRM. Right? It's like you had to go all these different places, but then maybe they didn't all talk. So it's kind of overwhelming to think through it. And then now we're like, okay, well, we can just, if we can envision this and tell it what we want, we can come up with something. And yeah, it's been awesome so far. I mean, we're just scratching the surface with it, with a lead. So we're even using it for our marketing as well. So we've got a whole content plan for the entire year based on what the trends are on social media. So we're starting it this month. We've got a marketing meeting this month where we've got a number of videos that we need to make, and we've already got the ideas there for the entire year. And every other week we have it goes and runs against Instagram and Facebook and gives us the next set of ideas for the next month. Right. So it's insane, it's
So
tracking
good.
metrics, and we have dashboards and everything. So it's really helping to, build that and then be able to pass it off to an employee. Really helps them out a lot, and I think it's saving us a lot of money. That's for sure.
One of the things I love, and that's super impressive, was Roger saying, I know Dickie made a joke about you coding in your basement, and we've all been there, brothers. Is okay. I code in the middle of the night while I'm feeding my newborn. So we don't have basements here either because we're low country and hurricanes and all that. But in our nursery, there's a recliner, and in that recliner, I've built some stuff. But you said it kind of in passing of like, I've never done this before until this came out. And I want to speak on just the level of intuitiveness that this thing, like, it's just gotten so intuitive where guys like you and like me, I'm just a dumb jock. Like all my friends remind me of that all the time. I don't look like it anymore. But like I've figured it out because it's just so intuitive. But one of the key points of it is just remaining curious. Just like stay curious. Well, it didn't work. Okay, well, ask it why it didn't work. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Literally say, hey, this didn't work. Why not?
Yeah.
And it'll say, well, you didn't have this, and this set up. So go get those set up. If it still doesn't work, just like keep engaging with it. And then I know I vibe coded a software for us, kind of an upside down SaaS, where we take our service and turn our service into a software rather than the opposite, and all that. And I got it way further than I thought I could, simply just by like, what about this? The amount of screenshots I took put into cloud. I was like, what is this? What do I do? And it's like, press the green button in the left, scroll down, you should see this. You're like, okay. And it just guided me through it. But man, I have a lot of owners, and I'm not saying construction's full of old heads, but I got a bunch of owners that are just like, yeah, I've never really messed with it. And is it really that helpful? And you're like, God, just try it. Like, just engage with it, because you may not do what Roger out of Tennessee has done with it, but you'll find something. And it's not just going to be a better Google. You'll like find something that's actually impactful for your business if you just remain curious. So I appreciate you mentioning that.
Yeah. It's like Roberto said, and what you're saying, I think we're just scratching the surface. The possibilities are quite possibly endless, and how this is going to impact not just construction, or not even just your industry either. It's just going to be incredible. It's just a crazy time to be alive.
Roger, are you guys going out to Vegas next year for IBS?
Yeah.
Roger, we got to find a way. I don't know if Dickie's the one that put it. One of us put up for an AI talk, and I think we got it. I got to double check, but we got to get you on stage to just be like, look at this,
Rogers with an S.
Rogers. Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's all right.
Won't happen again. I promise. So,
Donnie, prepare for this interview, okay? These are VIP clients.
I have my realtor still can't say my wife's name correctly. So,
Poppy,
like, you suck. So I get it, but I'm sorry, Rogers.
No worries, man. Yeah,
there's enough of you to go around. It's got to be plural, right?
Yeah, Roberto and Wojtek been wanting me to get on the IBS stage. So I'll go with you guys and talk.
Well, we actually, I was talking to Scott last week in Austin, and we were saying, man, we just got to get more of our clients to offer talks, because y'all as practitioners look better than us as coaches, because you guys know what you're doing. I mean, we know what we're doing in process, but you guys are in the trenches.
Yeah.
So even if, you're talking about some sort of process you're building, I mean, Berto, you built job costing, you're doing job costing and all these videos and building this whole series on how to job cost. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah,
stuff
that's
like that
right.
is such a powerful tool.
Yeah, we're happy to talk anytime. I applied to speak at IBS as well, and I got an email last week. Like it was just saying, "Hey, rate the names of these classes," and mine was on there. So I don't know. I might be speaking too.
That's awesome.
Heck yeah.
Congrats.
Man, I love it.
Thanks.
I love it.
I
was in
saw that
Austin.
email come through and I didn't look at it. So I did not do you a solid. Sorry.
Hopefully, I voted for yours.
Oh, maybe
was
I
in
can go
Austin
back and
last
vote
week,
first.
and one of the guys I was giving this talk on AI and talking about process. This guy raises his hand in the back. He had like a black plumber shirt on, and he goes, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "What?" I'm in the middle of like this presentation, like 50, 60 people, and he's like, "Are you serious? Can AI really do that?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm showing it to you." And he's like, "That's amazing."
Hey,
Interrupted
well,
the whole talk. It was incredible. And he
Like,
comes up to me
situational
afterwards.
awareness makes him a
Hey.
non-ideal
Oh,
client
no, he
right
had
there.
no idea. He was just,
some
I mean,
some guy
super,
interrupted me too when I was speaking at IBS because I did it this last year in Orlando, and he was just like, "Hey, I was talking about job costing, no AI or anything," and he raised his hand and he was like, "What do you think about the Meta glasses?" And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "They're pretty cool." I was like, I've thought about getting a pair, but I don't have one right now." I'm like, "Is that all?" He's like, "Yeah." I think he walked out after that too.
People are like, how do people get through this world day to day? Like, for you to say that in a public room of other people randomly, like, how are you ordering food at a restaurant and not
Yeah.
getting arrested?
It threw me off for a second.
So people want to learn more about Jackson Builders in Nashville. Where do they find you? And yeah,
jbgbuilt.com is our website, or at Jackson Builders Nashville is our Instagram handle.
Jackson Builders
Those are the best
Nashville
places
on
to
the
find us.
IG.
Yeah, get in touch with us.
Slide up into your DMs, right?
Exactly.
But eventually
Nice.
we'll be able to find you. Eventually.
No, we're going to be off the grid for a long time. Well, if you have any questions about jgbbuilt.com, Jackson Builders, fantastic client, really great people. Check their content out. If you want to learn more about business on purpose and how we can liberate you from chaos, so you can make time for what matters most, you can go to businessonpurpose.com/healthy, take a 7-minute healthy assessment, or 3 minutes if you're really fast. It's pretty quick, and we'll reach out to you and help you navigate some of the challenges. Well, thank you guys for being here. And as always, it's fun talking.
Likewise. Talk to you soon.
Yeah. Talk to you guys later.
It was good to meet y'all.
Nice meeting you, Brad.